Introduction. I was sitting in Toast Box in Safra Toa Payoh, lamenting to my friend Yen about how trapped and uninspired I felt when the idea for this book happened. An April afternoon, the sun trying to reach in through glass panels to touch and tan us with its hands. Yen and I had commandeered 2 dinky wooden tables and were sitting diagonally across from each other. The tables, with their uneven legs, rocked when we leaned forward to make our points. I had just returned from an 8-day writing retreat in Iceland, my head full of notions of moving there for good, to write novels in freezing farmhouses and listen to heavy metal in Reykjavik dives. Looking back, I was uncomfortably trying to fight my way home, back into the heat and crowds of city living, my body having arrived without incident at Changi Airport, my cosmic self lagging far behind. Feeling displaced, all I wanted to do was write down stuff I made up. In short bursts, every day, working up eventually to something bigger and more coherent. Let's do a writing project together, I tried to convince Yen. An architect, she told me that writing was not her thing and that she'd much rather stick to designing buildings. I tried to convince her to design me an imaginary building, which I would then use as the setting for a short story. She began telling me about a shopping center she designed as a master's candidate at Columbia University in New York City, more than a decade ago. A shopping center not meant to last. Without seeing her architectural drawings, I imagined a place built like the Rube Goldberg machine, destined to fall apart elaborately. A mall that self-destructed. I went home and wrote. A couple of days later, I sent the story to Yen. It was nothing like what she had designed, but she didn't mind. That collaboration forms chapter 1 of this book. It struck me that I was onto something. I could ask architects about their dream buildings and populate these buildings with fictional characters. The result would be a hybrid creature, a document of what Singapore could be, as well as a map of the imaginary. What of the buildings shelved for now? The past not taken? Would they have made this a different place? Us a very different people? In a nation that is obsessed with rebuilding and renewal, with running as fast as we can to stay in the same spot, places and spaces appear and disappear at a sometimes alarming rate. I wanted to amass a version of my country that exists only on paper. For the next 8 months, between July 2014 and March 2015, I interviewed Singapore architects, some famous and established, others just starting out in their careers. I sent emails to many in the field, explaining what the project was about and asking them to speak to me. Thankfully, some of them did not laugh uproariously and press delete. Instead, they kindly agreed to talk to me, and our conversations inspired the stories that follow. Not every interview resulted in a story, unfortunately, but the cogs in my imagination were definitely oiled by each architect I met, listening to his or her version of the fantastic for Singapore. Needless to say, I ran into walls. One can take the girl out of Singapore, but can one ever take Singapore out of the girl? In writing these stories, I have worried over how my perspective as a Singaporean who has never lived anywhere else might be limiting my imagination as it lathers up an alternative to the country as it is today. I have fretted about OB markers, overt and internalized. At the end of the day, all I can hope for is a book that is a snapshot of a particular person writing in a particular country, at a particular time, resulting in a particular bridge or several approaches to our built environment: physical, social, political, and cultural. As the late American anthropologist Clifford Geertz put it, culture is simply the ensemble of stories we tell ourselves about ourselves. And in half a
Sample complete. Ready to continue?